How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka TheNYCGeek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord returned, aka the one who will sit on the throne today. There it is. Aka the guy who is not trying to be a contrarian. I understand that Baldur's Gate 3 is 2023's video game darling. There are people out there who have given this game a 10 out of 10. They have an altar to it in their bedroom. They worship on the altar of Astarion. And I know for a lot of people, this may be their first this may be their first game in the Baldur's Gate franchise. It might be their first isometric RPG. It might even be their first like Dungeons and Dragons game or their first Forgotten Realms game. However, for me, this is not my first Baldur's Gate game. This is not my first isometric RPG, and this is certainly not my first Dungeons and Dragons based game, my first Forgotten Realms based game. And I am a massive Forgotten Realms lore guy. I have several bookshelves and have invested more money and time in Faerun than probably the vast majority of people who play Baldur's Gate 3 combined. This is going to be a lengthy discussion, a lengthy rant, whatever you want to call it. So grab a snack. I want you to sit back. I want you to hear, and I want you to listen to why I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 is a masterpiece. And to answer the question, even though it's not a masterpiece, does it deserve to be nominated as a game of the year? Okay. I'm not saying that as a whole it's an awful game. There are times when I had a fucking blast with, combat, especially combat, because combat can be so rewarding. And I love some of the characters. Karlach and Shadowheart stand out in this game. The environments are gorgeous to look at. And in the grand scheme of 2023, could probably make an argument that it deserves at least a nomination for Game of the Year, right? But do I think it deserves that? And why do I think it's not a masterpiece? What keeps it from perfection? What keeps it from being a shoo-in with like Elden Ring was, or God of War 2018, or The Last of Us? Let me start with what matters to me the most. In Baldur's Gate 3, the series, all of it. What is crucial to me in most works, the lore, the canon, the setting. Forgotten Realms is, in my opinion, the greatest epic fantasy setting of all time. Okay? Ed Greenwood, the creator of the Forgotten Realms, is an awful writer. All right? He's a terrible writer. Elminster is fucking terrible, a terrible self-insert. But holy shit, did he create the greatest fantasy setting of all time, of all time. And not only did he create the greatest fantasy setting, it was the platform for countless authors to enhance it. I love Middle-earth, and I love Professor Tolkien's literary work, and his masterpiece will stand the test of time. Clearly stand the test of Rings of Power, but I'm talking as a setting, as its regions, its characters, the timeline, the pantheon of gods, the realms is peak fantasy. Every book you see there on those middle three shelves, every book you see on those top three shelves, that's just a part of the hundreds of novels that multiple authors have created to flesh out the Forgotten Realms that Ed Greenwood released back in the 80s. This book right here, okay, which usually I have up there, this book right here is the pinnacle of the Forgotten Realms, okay? 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, before Wizards of the Coast nearly ruined the entire Forgotten Realms with their cataclysmic 4th edition. And it was so bad, 4th edition was so bad that they had to retcon practically everything they did in 4th edition when they released 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and thus releasing 5th edition Forgotten Realms. This right here, it's the peak of the Forgotten Realms. Like I said, they tried a vastly different direction in 4th edition, and it was so bad that they basically made 5th edition like 3rd edition 2.0. Okay, lore matters, continuity matters, canon exists for a reason. And one of my biggest grievances with this game is that it feels like Larian Studios couldn't be bothered to actually read up on the realms. There are tons of inconsistencies, and some of them bordering on egregious, okay? And peak among them is unfortunately the very ham-fisted plot device. Very ham-fisted, shoved in there, created solely for the game plot device that is the crown of Karsus, which is what this whole game revolves around. Look, again, I know that for some of you out there, your only introduction to Karsus is going to be the mentions and the lore notes from this game. So to help you better understand, picture the most powerful wizard that's ever existed in the Forgotten Realms. Not Elminster, it's not Larlock, it's not Zastam. It was this arcanist known as Karsus, who at the age of 2 cast his first spell. An arcanist who lived in an empire full of wizards and mages who would shear. They would take a mountain, right? They would shear the top of the mountain, flip it upside down, and then build magical cities on top of these floating mountaintops. Netheril was so enriched in magic that even the maids, that even the house staff used cantrips to clean the houses, just to keep houses clean. That's how casual magic was for them. Now picture that. Picture that powerful of a society in the Forgotten Realms, and picture a threat powerful enough to oppose that society. And that threat is what's known as the Feyrim. They're these aberrations who declare war on Netheril because the magic that the Netherese wizards are using, it was ruining the Feyrim lands on the ground. The Feyrim were evil. They're like a subterranean creature. And the magic that the Netherese are using to lift up these mountains and the sort are ruining the Feyrim lands. So, and due to this desperate war between Feyrim and Netheril, Karsus creates the spell. He creates a specific spell known as Karsus's Avatar, the most powerful spell ever made. Maybe probably the most powerful spell in all of Dungeons and Dragons. A 12th level spell. And to put this into perspective, for non-D&D players, and even players who only their experiences with Baldur's Gate 3, the highest level magic you can cast is 9th level. This spell was so powerful that the after effects reshaped magic for the realms forever. Right? Karsus cast this spell in hopes of destroying the Feyrim and uniting the people of Netheril, and he chose in his mind as a wizard the most powerful deity he could, which was Mistral, the goddess of magic. But unfortunately, as he casts a spell and he's swelling with power and he's transferring her divinity to him, he doesn't realize that he stripped Mistral of her magic and that was going to have consequences that he didn't foresee. Like, he didn't realize that Mistral was keeping the weave together. And now think of the weave as like the force. It's the best way to describe it. It's the energy that all magic in the Forgotten Realms is drawn from. All magic, except for the Shadow Weave, but that's a whole other thing. And because of the crazy war between the Netherese and the Feyrim, the weave is constantly being damaged, and Mistral's in the back constantly fixing it. She's constantly repairing it. And when he cast Karsus's Avatar and he's stripping her of her divinity, he wasn't prepared to fix the damage that Mistral was taking care of. So Mistral sacrifices herself to stop the spell and to keep the damage from the weave being from keeping that damage from being irreparable. And then she's reborn as Mistra. And despite this catastrophe, Karsus is the only being. Despite this catastrophe, Karsus is the only being known to ever have attained godhood with a single spell. And that's a line from this book that I love so much. This book, I'm telling you guys, it's fantastic. This is just as a aside, you get so much in third edition with every purchase that you got. That it's just such a shame to see where Wizards of the Coast has taken it. Anyway, the act of all this, the act that Karsus has done, the act of his folly, of his hubris, of this sacrifice, all of this is cheapened by having it be that he just forged a crown with nethery stones like some bootleg Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know why Larian Studios went this route. There are countless already established artifacts in the Forgotten Realms. The Ring of Winter, the Nether Scrolls, the Chalice of Amonitor. Yes, you heard me right, the Nether Scrolls. The Chalice of Amonitor. The first one I said, the Ring of Winter, you could have done a fantastic retelling of the Rime of the Frost Maiden, which was a terrible module that 5th edition put out, but you could have had the Ring of Winter be the focus of that. And I don't know why Larian decided to create this plot MacGuffin that just felt like a cheap fetch quest by the end of it all. And this poor writing extends to a lot of this game. The pacing is horrendous, especially in Act 3, when you're at this breakneck pace in Act 2. You gotta hurry, and you have to stop the Absolute and its armies, and it just screeches to a halt in Act 3, what should be the most important act in this game, because it's the climactic one. You're in the city of Baldur's Gate, and I'm guessing, I don't know, the army of the Absolute is just chilling, jerking off. I don't know what they're doing out there while you're finishing all the side quests and exploring. What happened to the urgency of trying to stop these chosen or holding the reins of the Elder Brain? And that's another problem with this game, is that I never felt the enormity, the immensity, the magnitude of greatness that they're trying to portray. Part of that problem was the fact that they made this decision to limit your character to only reaching level 12. Level 12 is mid-level in Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know why they didn't let you max to get to max level, to 20th level. The other part is that makes you feel so lackluster, is that you and your party are just a bunch of plebs with these illithid tadpoles in your head and a different MacGuffin that keeps you from all transforming into illithids. I have to compare this game to its predecessor. You cannot, I'm sorry, but it's Baldur's Gate 3, which means it has to draw from 2 and 1. And in Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Amn, which is, ask anyone that knows me well enough, that's my fucking favorite game of all time. I say my favorite franchise, individual. It is my favorite individual video game of all time. And in Baldur's Gate 2 and Baldur's Gate 1, in that game, in the first one, you are a Baal spawn. You are the child of the deceased god of murder who died in the most important, in one of the most important events in the Forgotten Realms, which is the Times of Troubles. Check out the Avatar trilogy. Hold on one second. Check out the Avatar trilogy if you haven't already. Incredible series that details the Forgotten Realms and the Times of Troubles. And when the gods were cast down, like what happens is the gods are cast down from the heavens by their god, Ao. And the gods are forced to live amongst the mortals, and they die amongst them. And the god of murder, Baal, foresaw his own death. So he like sires a bunch of children to try to help in his eventual resurrection. And you are one of those children. And you are constantly pursued by people who want to manipulate or exploit your power, other Baal spawn who want to steal your spark of divinity. Hell, even the demon inside of you is hounding you because it's forcing you to decide, what kind of being are you going to be? Are you a good soul who is trying to resist the evil blood inside of you? Or are you a monster who is going to try to seize upon your birthright and become the god of murder. You take that protagonist, and you compare it to the protagonist of Baldur's Gate 3. You're just some pleb with a tadpole in your head. And to go back to the level cap comparison, I want to show, hold on. This is the instruction manual that came with the game, with Baldur's Gate 2. I got this back in September of 2000 as a birthday gift. And everything from here, look, everything from page 103 to page 216, 215, that's just the magic and spell system alone, over 100 pages dedicated to just that. When you got this game, you basically got a free player's handbook, the second edition Dungeons and Dragons, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition. By the end of Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2, and then the expansion, Throne of Ball, you are a fucking demigod, not just by your birth and blood, but by the power you wield at the end of that epic tale. That sense of a legendary saga is not found here. And also, the villains just never reached the heights of Saravok from from Baldur's Gate 1. And they're not even worth being mentioned in the same sentence as John Irenicus from Baldur's Gate 2. Gortash is fucking awful, man. It is painful to read his dialogue. It's just, and while yes, Ketheric Thorm and Orin the Red are a little better, it's not by much. All right. And you want me to believe that by level 9, not even mid-level, you're not even 10. By level 9, you're fighting an avatar of Myrkul, an avatar of the god of death? No. Let me tell you, battling an avatar, even one of Faerun's fucking lesser deities, is the stuff of fucking legend, not some cheap Act 2 boss. Even your companions are lackluster. The dialogue is so goddamn cringe, man. It's some Tumblr, Twitter, cringy fan fiction. They're corny, and they're ever horny, and it feels like it's like bad fan fiction. I swear to God, half the time I felt like I'm trapped in one of those bad erotic AOL chat rooms from the 90s. And I'm not a prude by any stretch of imagination. I'm a man of culture as well. But this all came across as so forced, and it helped to undermine the narrative. And again, I will give credit to Karlach the Tiefling and Shadowheart the Cleric. They shine out as characters amongst the dregs, but despite the fact that all it takes is for you to look at another character and maybe compliment the t-shirt or, give them a flower and they're ready to rip their fucking clothes off and get their freak on with you. Every character. But none of them approach the levels of complexity from previous game companions and characters like Viconia, the Dark Elf, or who they fucking ruined in this game. She's a fucking shadow of herself. Same thing with Jaheira, and not even close to a Korgan Bloodaxe. These are all characters from previous installments. And there are other gripes that I have with this game. The camera is fucking obnoxious. The camera is like its own enemy. At times, it should be in the fucking initiative role, because I have to, like, especially when you're inside of a cave or a structure and you're trying to fucking move your character around and it boop and the camera flips up here, you waste movement. Oh my God. That and the inventory management is a nightmare. You are full to the brim constantly of useless crafting shit, magic potions, items. You gotta fucking organize everything. It feels like you're in a Bethesda game, just grabbing everything you can. And I have no idea why Larian Studios did not feature one of the most iconic and simple magic like simple magical items of all D&D that would have helped with the annoying encumbrance issues. Bags of holding, I don't understand that. Like, they should have at least given your character minor bags of holding if you want, so that your alchemy ingredients and keys don't occupy space and weight. Help us sort our inventories. Playing Mines of Moria with some friends of mine, and we are constantly like, this game is fun, but my God, inventory management is such a fucking pain in the ass, and it's noticeable in games like this. And now, with all this being said, I want to get to the other part of this whole discussion, and that is if Baldur's Gate 3 is worth being mentioned as a Game of the Year contender, taking all that I said into consideration. And I mean, yeah, sort of. Even with all of these faults, I still can think it. I still can feel that, because I can see that Larian Studios put a lot of effort into some things. The combat, again, is so fucking fun. The combat is without a doubt the best part of this game. Having to constantly reload your game because of shitty rolls, it gets kind of tiresome, especially because you're going to fucking be hitting F9. That's what I changed my quick load to constantly. But combat is still very fun. You have to really put some strategy into these battles. It's brutal. And I love like, you're putting the barrels in certain places. I'm like, okay, if I throw a barrel over here and I throw a barrel over there and I fucking chain and I make these explosions, it's brutal. And for me, as a huge From Software fan, the masochist in me is like, dude, I love getting a game over screen. I do. It makes me think like, okay, let me reevaluate. Let me think, what am I doing? And like I said, tying into the barrels is the environment. The look is there. It's gorgeous. Yeah, interactivity with the environment. Like I said, the moving explosives and tying oil and it's just it's really cool the way that Larian handles combat in these isometric games. And if maybe you are not as invested in the Forgotten Realms as I am, if this is your first Baldur's Gate game or your first isometric RPG, I can totally see in a vacuum people digging it. I still think that unfortunately, even without that prior knowledge, the game is hurt severely by its lackluster and poorly paced story. You don't need to be a huge Forgotten Realms nut to find these characters corny as fuck and the story to be boring at times. But you do get your money's worth. You're gonna get it. It's absolutely worth $60. Absolutely. And it's certainly helping open the gates for players to try to dip their toes into these types of games. And I'm grateful to Larian Studios, even if they did butcher a lot of it, because I'm hoping that this helps introduce the Forgotten Realms and maybe some of these older novels to new people. I hope that they just have to get past this game and get to the actual good stuff. No. So no, Baldur's Gate is not a masterpiece. Baldur's Gate 3 is not a masterpiece. It has a lot of glaring flaws. At times, those glaring flaws bring it down to me to where it's just middling and it's just fucking average at best. If the combat was not as good as it was, personally, I would think this game I'd be like, this is not a good game. But all of that, but the other things do help out. And I think that the time that they put into it, and I appreciate the dedication that they did try to put into it. I can give them points for that. I do think that you can put it in the Game of the Year mention as a Game of the Year contender. Personally, my choice, like if I'm looking at the categories and I'm looking at these games, like I'll be honest, I've never played any of the Alan Wake games. I've never played Alan Wake 1. I have no interest in playing Alan Wake 2. I loved Marvel Spider-Man 1. I fucking loved it. But I refuse to play Marvel Spider-Man 2. I don't fucking like Miles Morales. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And I refuse to play any game that helps to continue to cuck Peter Parker and try to shit on him so that you can elevate this ghetto-ass fucking bootleg character, which is Miles Morales. Resident Evil 4 Remake looked awesome. I loved Resident Evil 4. It's not my favorite Resident Evil 4. It's not my favorite Resident Evil game, but I loved Resident Evil 4, the original. I never got this. I'm waiting for it to go on sale because I'm not going to pay full price for a remake. I'll wait till it goes on sale. But I definitely, from what I saw, this game absolutely deserves to be a Game of the Year contender. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it's good. It's a fun game, but it's, I mean, do I think it's a Game of the Year? Nah, man. Like, if I was going to switch out any game in this category, it would be Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and I would put fucking RoboCop Rogue City. That was a surprise gem. Fucking great game. Especially if you're a fan of the OG fucking of RoboCop. My boy RoboCop here. My favorite 80s film, followed by Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Back to the Future 1. Dude, I fucking love RoboCop Rogue City. And to me, but to me, the winner is the last game in the category. And that's The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I think that fucking game is awesome. I think it killed it. If you want to talk about passion, you want to talk about dedication, environment, exploration, combat, all that stuff, ingenuity with the people that crafting all these fucking things. Dude, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom gives you your money's worth and then some. So to me, I think that's the Game of the Year. I think these are my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3. Again, I know that it's an unpopular opinion. I'm sure though, I'm sure there's somebody already putting me on their hit list, but they're like etching my name in their fucking death note and next to their fucking Astarion plushie or something. Look, that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Please, if you like the video, leave a like. If you dislike it, hit the damn dislike button. If you disagree with me, let me know though. Why? What did I'm sure many people out there loved Baldur's Gate 3. Tell me what you enjoyed about it. Did you like the characters? Did you like the story? Did you like the Forgotten Realm setting? Did you like the system? That's another thing. Quick aside, I'm so sorry. I wanted to give props to Larian Studios for incorporating 5th edition so well into the game. They have the benefit of 5th edition, once again, piggybacking off of 3rd edition, because Wizards of the Coast realized, wow, 4th edition sucks. Let's make 5th edition not only the setting, but the game mechanic itself as close to 3rd edition as we can, because boy, oh boy, the 4th edition fucking bombed for them. So I want to give Larian Studios that. So to you, the viewer, did you enjoy the combat system? Did you enjoy the D&D system? What is it that you loved about the game? What is it that you didn't like about the game? Tell me if you agree with myself, and especially if you are a Forgotten Realms fan like I am, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if you felt the same way that I did, and if you didn't, why? Tell me. I love to respond to every single one of you guys. I do my absolute best to respond to every comment. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm sorry. I promised you. I told you it was going to be a long one. Wanted to warn you. Let me know what you guys think. I thank you for taking the time for watching this video. Your time is precious. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.